Yonat Vasile, a multimillionaire, forces his daughter, Elena Vasile, to marry Andrei Petrescu, the house's handyman. But no one imagined that. What would you do if you had to choose between the thrill of a great love and the security of a promising future? Find out how one decision can change everything. Before we continue, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching the video from. And don't forget to subscribe. The night was alive with energy at the grand mansion of Yonat Vasile, a sprawling estate that gleamed under the soft glow of chandeliers. Laughter and music filled the air, a symphony of celebration that echoed throughout the luxurious halls. The rich and influential mingled, adorned in designer outfits, their conversations punctuated by toasts and the clinking of fine crystal glasses. Among the throng was Elena Vasile, a striking young woman in her early 20s, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders like a waterfall. She moved through the crowd with an air of confidence, though her heart was just as tumultuous as the party around her. Elena's gaze was fixed on Dacian, her boyfriend, who stood at the edge of the dance floor. He was everything she had ever wanted: charming, handsome, and effortlessly cool. Dacian exuded a certain magnetism, drawing people in with his carefree laughter and devil-may-care attitude. Clad in a tailored suit that accentuated his athletic build, he was the epitome of the playboy lifestyle. But beneath that charming facade lay a troubling truth. Dacian was an irresponsible dreamer, content to float through life without any real ambition. Isn't he just perfect? Elena's friend, Mira, leaned closer, her voice barely audible over the music. She had a mischievous glint in her eye, as if she were about to share a secret. "You two are like a real-life fairy tale." Elena smiled, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I guess. He just makes everything feel so exciting. Exciting or reckless?" Mira raised an eyebrow, concern etched on her face. "You know your father doesn't approve of him." Elena waved her hand dismissively. "I'm an adult, Mira. I can make my own choices. Besides, Dacian is fun. He makes me laugh. But at what cost?" Mira pressed, her voice laced with worry. "You're going to be stuck in this world forever if you keep hanging out with him." As the music swelled, Elena caught Dacian's eye, and he beckoned her over with a playful grin. He had a way of making her feel special, as though the rest of the world faded away when they were together. She pushed aside her friend's concerns and glided across the dance floor, her heart racing with anticipation. "Hey, beautiful," Dacian said, pulling her close as they began to dance. The connection between them crackled with electricity, and for a moment, the world outside ceased to exist. "What do you say we get out of here? Just you and me?" Elena's heart fluttered. "Where to?" "Anywhere but here. Let's escape the boring adults and enjoy the night," he suggested, his eyes sparkling with mischief. She hesitated, a small voice in her head reminding her of her father's expectations and the responsibilities that came with being a Vasile. But the thrill of adventure tugged at her, almost overpowering her reservations. "Okay, let's do it." As they slipped away into the night, the mansion faded into the background, replaced by the allure of the unknown that awaited them. They laughed and danced under the stars, lost in a world of their own making, unaware of the storm brewing at home. Back at the mansion, Yonat Vasile paced in his study, his expression a mix of frustration and concern. A trusted friend had just informed him of Elena's late-night escapades with Dacian, and his heart sank at the thought of his daughter entangled with someone so reckless. He had worked tirelessly to build a legacy, a name that would command respect and admiration. The last thing he wanted was for his daughter to throw it all away on a man who embodied everything he despised. "Dacian," he muttered to himself, shaking his head. "That boy is trouble, and Elena is too blind to see it." He picked up the phone, dialing a number with urgency. "I need to speak with Elena. Now," he commanded when the butler answered. "Tell her to come to my study immediately." Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as Yonat waited, anxiety gnawing at him. He could only hope that his daughter would arrive before it was too late. When the door finally opened, Elena stepped in. Her cheeks flushed from the night's excitement, her hair tousled but still beautiful. "Dad, Sit down, Elena," he interrupted, his voice stern. "We need to talk." "What's wrong?" she asked, her tone shifting from playful to wary. She glanced around the room, sensing the tension in the air. "I heard about your little adventure with Dacian," Yonut said, his eyes narrowing. "Do you have any idea how reckless you're being?" Elena crossed her arms, bristling at her father's tone. "I'm not a child anymore, Dad. I can make my own decisions. Decisions that could ruin your future." Yonut's voice rose, the frustration spilling over. "That boy is a parasite, living off the wealth and influence of others. He has no ambition, no vision for his life. You deserve better than that." "Better? Like who? Someone like you?" Elena shot back, her voice thick with defiance. "You're always so focused on business and power. You don't care about my happiness." "I care about your future," he retorted, slamming his fist on the table. "This isn't just about you. Your actions have consequences for our family, for our reputation. I will not watch you throw it all away for a fling." Elena's heart raced, the disappointment in her father's voice cutting deeper than she expected. "I can't believe you're doing this. You don't even know Dacian. He's not who you think he is." "I know enough," Yonut stated firmly, his voice low, "and I will not allow this relationship to continue. You are going to marry Andre." Elena's eyes widened in disbelief, her heart pounding with anger. "What? You can't be serious. Andre is just the handyman. You can't dictate my life like this." "Yes, I can," Yonut said, his voice unwavering. "Andre is loyal, hardworking, and comes from a good family. He will give you the stability and respect you need. This is for your own good, Elena." "I won't do it," she cried, her voice breaking. "You can't force me to marry someone I don't love." "It's not about love right now. It's about making the right choice," Yonut replied, his expression softening slightly. "You may not see it now, but this is a chance for you to build a solid future. Dacian will only lead you down a path of disappointment." Elena felt her chest tighten, the weight of her father's words pressing down on her. She wanted to rebel, to fight against this unjust decision, but the fear of disappointing him loomed large. "I will never forgive you for this," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes, her voice trembling with unresolved emotions. "Then you will have to find a way to forgive me," Yonut said, his tone resolute. "This conversation is not over. We will discuss the details of the arrangement tomorrow. You need to think about what's at stake here." As Elena turned to leave, the reality of her father's ultimatum settled heavily on her shoulders. The lavish party had become a distant memory, replaced by the harsh reality of her situation. The world she had once embraced seemed to shrink as the walls of her father's expectations closed in around her, leaving her feeling trapped and alone. Yonut Vasile sat in his opulent office, surrounded by the trappings of his wealth. A mahogany desk, leather-bound books lining the walls, and a breathtaking view of the city skyline. His fingers drummed impatiently against the polished surface as he awaited the arrival of Andre, the handyman who had been a loyal employee for years. Yonut's decision to force his daughter, Elena, into an arranged marriage weighed heavily on him, but he believed it was the only way to steer her away from the reckless path she had chosen with Dacian. Moments later, there was a soft knock at the door. "Come in," Yonut called out, straightening his posture. The door opened, and Andre stepped inside, his work boots scuffing the expensive carpet. He was a tall, sturdy man with rugged features and a quiet demeanor. Despite their difference in social standing, Yonut had always respected Andre for his hard work and dedication. "Mr. Vasile," Andre greeted, his voice steady but cautious as he took a seat across from the billionaire. "Thank you for coming, Andre," Yonut began, his tone serious. "We need to discuss the situation with Elena." Andre nodded, bracing himself for what was to come. He had heard whispers about Yonut's plan to arrange a marriage, but he had never imagined he would be the one chosen. "Yes, sir. I'm aware that Elena is in a difficult position." Yonut leaned forward, his expression stern. "You must understand, Andre, that this is not just about Elena's happiness. It's about her future. Dacian is not the man she needs. He will lead her down a dark path, and I refuse to stand by and watch that happen." Andre felt a tightening in his chest. He had always admired Elena from afar. Her fiery spirit, her laughter, the way she lit up a room. But he also knew her stubbornness and how fiercely she fought for her independence. I understand your concerns, sir, but Elena is strong-willed. If she doesn't want this marriage, she will learn to accept it. Yonut interrupted, his voice firm. You have the chance to be a stabilizing force in her life. This arrangement is not just for her protection, but also for your own future. You will have a place in this family, Andre. I can assure you that. Andre's heart raced at the thought, but he remained cautious. I appreciate your confidence in me, Mr. Vasile. But what if Elena refuses? She deserves to choose her own path. Yonut's gaze hardened. I will make her understand that this is for her own good. I am not asking for your permission. I am informing you of my decision. You will marry her, and together, you will build a future that will benefit both families. Andre swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the expectation thrust upon him. I will do my best to support her, sir. If it truly is for her well-being, it is, Yonut affirmed. Now, go home and prepare yourself. The sooner this is settled, the better for all involved. After Andre left the office, he found himself walking through the immaculately manicured gardens surrounding the Vasile estate. The beauty of the surroundings contrasted sharply with the turmoil in his mind. He had always respected Yonut as a father figure and a mentor, but the thought of marrying Elena, especially under such circumstances, was overwhelming. What if she resented him? What if she never saw him as anything more than a pawn in her father's game? Meanwhile, Elena paced her luxurious bedroom, her mind racing with thoughts of the confrontation she'd had with her father. She could still hear his words echoing in her ears. You will marry Andre. The very idea made her stomach churn. Andre had always been a constant presence in her life, but she viewed him as a friend, not a husband. The prospect of being forced into an arranged marriage felt like a betrayal of everything she believed in. In a fit of frustration, she flung open her window, the cool evening breeze rushing in. She needed to clear her head, to think. But as thoughts of Dacian flashed through her mind, a wave of anger washed over her. Why couldn't her father see that Dacian was the one she wanted? He was charming, adventurous, and full of life. Everything that Andre was not. Suddenly, she made a decision. She stormed out of her room and down the grand staircase, her heels clicking against the marble floor. She needed to confront Andre, to demand answers. He was part of this ridiculous plan, and she wouldn't let him off the hook so easily. When she found him in the garden, Andre was kneeling beside a patch of flowers, tending to the plants with an ease that came from years of practice. He looked up as Elena approached, his expression shifting to one of surprise and concern. Elena, he greeted, standing up quickly. What are you doing here? Don't play coy with me, Andre, she snapped, hands on her hips. I know what my father is planning. You're in on this, aren't you? Andre's brows furrowed, and he took a step back, unsure of how to respond. Elena, save it. You're just going to go along with it? You're letting my father dictate your life too? Her voice was a mixture of anger and disbelief. Andre sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's not like that. Your father believes this is the best way to protect you. I didn't ask for this either. Protect me? Elena scoffed, her voice rising. By forcing me into a marriage with you? You think that's going to make me feel safe? You're just a tool in his plan. Andre's expression hardened as he met her gaze. That may be true, but it doesn't change the fact that I care about you. If this is what your father insists on, then I will do everything in my power to support you, whether you want it or not. Elena blinked, momentarily taken aback by the intensity in his voice. You care? Really? The sarcasm dripped from her words, but deep down, she felt a flicker of something, an unexpected connection. Yes, he replied, his voice steady. I care about your well-being. I've always admired your spirit, your determination. But if this is what it takes to keep you safe, then I will stand by you. You may not see it now, but I promise I will be a good husband. A silence hung between them, thick with tension. Elena had never considered Andre in that way before. He was always the dependable one, the one who fixed things around the house and made her laugh when she was down. But a husband? That was a different story. I don't need saving, Andre, she finally said, her voice softer. I can take care of myself. I know that, he replied gently, taking a step closer. But sometimes we all need a little help. Maybe this is an opportunity for both of us. We can figure it out together. Elena looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. There was a warmth there that made her heart race, a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, this wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But the thought of her father's expectations loomed large in her mind, casting a shadow over any budding feelings she might have had. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Elena sighed, feeling the weight of her indecision. I don't know, Andre. I just don't know. The wedding day arrived with an air of solemnity that hung over the small ceremony. Yonat had insisted on keeping it intimate, a gathering of only the closest family and friends. Elena stood at the altar, wearing a simple white dress that felt foreign on her body. Her heart raced with anxiety, and she could feel Andre's presence beside her, calm and steady, a stark contrast to her swirling emotions. As the officiant began to speak, Elena stole a glance at Andre. He wore a nervous smile, and for a fleeting moment, she felt a pang of affection for him. He had always been there, supporting her in silence, and now he was willing to step into the role of husband, despite the circumstances. I do, Andre said firmly when the time came for him to speak, his voice strong and unwavering. Elena's breath caught in her throat. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. When it was her turn to respond, she hesitated, looking into Andre's eyes, searching for a sign. I do, she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. As the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Elena felt a strange mix of emotions. This was not the wedding she had envisioned, yet here she was, bound to a man she had once seen only as a friend. And as they walked down the aisle together, hand in hand, a flicker of hope ignited within her, hinting at the possibility of a future she had never imagined. As the days turned into weeks, the awkwardness that initially defined Elena and Andre's marriage began to dissolve. They found themselves navigating the uncharted waters of married life, their interactions gradually shifting from tense exchanges to something more relaxed. It was a slow process, but every shared glance and hesitant smile felt like a step toward a budding friendship that neither had anticipated. One warm afternoon, while Andre was fixing a leaky faucet in their modest kitchen, Elena watched him work. She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, her expression a mix of curiosity and admiration. The sunlight streamed through the window, casting a golden glow on Andre's focused face, highlighting the determination etched in his features. He was in his element, wearing an old t-shirt and faded jeans, his hands deftly maneuvering the tools he had mastered over the years. Do you ever take a break? Elena asked, her voice playful yet sincere. Andre looked up, wiping his brow with the back of his hand. Not if I can help it. There's always something that needs fixing. He smiled, his eyes sparkling with mischief. And you know I can't let you live with a leaky faucet. Elena chuckled, her heart warming at the sight of him. Well, I appreciate the effort. I suppose it's better than having Dacian around, who would probably just ignore it until the ceiling fell in. Andre's expression changed slightly at the mention of her ex-boyfriend, but he quickly masked it with a grin. I think I'd prefer a few leaks over a collapsing ceiling any day. He paused, then added, besides, I'm sure you could handle it if it came to that. Elena raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Oh, really? You think so? Absolutely, Andre replied, his tone earnest. You're stronger than you know. I've seen how you stand up for what you want, even against your father. Her gaze dropped to the floor, contemplating his words. I never expected to be in this situation. Marrying you was the last thing I wanted. Andre nodded, understanding her struggle. I get it, but maybe we can find a way to make this work for both of us. We're stuck together, after all. Elena looked back up, meeting his steady gaze. Stuck together, she echoed, a slight smile playing on her lips. Not the most romantic way to put it, but I suppose it's true. As the weeks slipped by, their conversations became more frequent and less strained. They shared their lives over coffee in the mornings and exchanged stories while working side by side on various projects around the house. Each moment revealed a new layer to Andre: his passion for craftsmanship, his dreams of building something concrete and lasting, and the quiet strength he possessed. One evening, while working on a home renovation project together, they found themselves in the living room, surrounded by paint cans and brushes. The room was a chaotic blend of colors, but it was alive with potential. Elena was busy taping the edges of the walls, while Andre was mixing a fresh batch of paint. "You know, I've always dreamed of running my own construction business," Andre said casually as he stirred the paint. Elena paused, looking at him with renewed interest. "Really? I didn't know that." Andre glanced over, a hint of vulnerability in his eyes. "Yeah, ever since I was a kid, I've loved building things. My father was a carpenter, and I used to follow him around, learning the ropes. I want to create spaces that people can call home." Elena felt a flicker of admiration. "That sounds fulfilling." "It is," he replied, his voice filled with passion. "I want to transform ideas into reality, but it's hard to do that alone." "Why don't you do it then?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "Start your own business." He chuckled softly, shaking his head. "It's not that simple. I need capital, resources, and a solid plan. And I can't do it without experience." "Experience can be gained," she said thoughtfully. "What if you had a partner? Someone who could bring a different perspective and help you navigate the business side?" Andre turned to her, surprise evident in his expression. "You mean you'd consider it?" Elena hesitated, feeling the weight of the moment. The idea had taken root in her mind, and the thought of working with Andre intrigued her. "I mean, why not? After all, we're already in this together. It could be a way to build something new, not just for you, but for both of us." A spark of excitement illuminated Andre's face. "Are you serious? We could combine our skills. You have a great eye for design, and I have the technical know-how. Together, we could create something amazing." Elena felt a flutter of anticipation. "I've always loved designing spaces. I never thought I could turn that into a career, especially after everything that's happened." Andre stepped closer, his expression earnest. "We could make it work. We'd be partners in every sense, and I promise to respect your vision. You'd have full creative control." She studied him, weighing his sincerity. Andre was not just the handyman she had once dismissed. He was a man with dreams and aspirations, someone who was willing to invest in their future together. "Okay," she finally said, her voice steady. "Let's do it." A broad smile broke across Andre's face, and he extended his hand toward her. "Partners." Elena took his hand, feeling a warmth spread through her. "Partners." As they shook hands, an unspoken understanding passed between them. They were embarking on a journey that would not only shape their professional lives, but also their personal ones. With shared dreams and a newfound respect for each other, they began to sketch out the plans for their construction business, the foundation of which would be built on collaboration and trust. Days turned into weeks as they worked tirelessly, their relationship evolving alongside their ambitions. They spent evenings poring over blueprints and brainstorming ideas, the laughter and camaraderie filling the air. Each project they tackled together brought them closer, and as they navigated the challenges of starting a business, they found solace in each other's company. In the heart of their shared dreams, Elena discovered a sense of purpose she had long yearned for. She began to see Andre not just as her husband, but as a partner in every sense of the word. His dedication inspired her, and she felt a growing admiration for the man who had once been a reluctant pawn in her father's game. As they embarked on this new venture, both Elena and Andre felt a sense of hope blossoming amid the uncertainty. What had started as an arrangement born of desperation was transforming into something beautiful, an unexpected romance fueled by ambition, resilience, and a shared vision for the future. As the sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Elena Vasile stood on the balcony of her new office, taking in the view of the bustling city below. It had been several months since her father, Yonat, had forced her into this unconventional marriage with Andre, a man she had once regarded as merely the family's handyman. The wedding, though filled with tension, had been the catalyst for something unexpected, a burgeoning partnership that had transformed both their lives. Elena had never imagined herself as a businesswoman, yet here she was, overseeing the operations of their fledgling construction company. The walls of the office were adorned with architectural sketches and design blueprints, evidence of the hard work they had put in together. She turned to see Andre entering the room, a stack of plans in his hands, his face illuminated by the early morning light. "Good morning, Elena," he greeted her, a warm smile breaking across his face. His dark hair was slightly tousled, and he wore a simple t-shirt and jeans, attire that suited his practical nature. "I think we should go over the designs for the new project today. The clients are eager to see what we can do." "Good morning, Andre," she replied, her heart fluttering at the sight of him. "Yes, I've been thinking about that. I believe we should also present them with the idea of incorporating eco-friendly materials. It's a trend that's gaining traction, and I think it could really set us apart." Andre nodded in agreement, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "That's a brilliant idea. We could emphasize sustainability in our marketing too. It fits perfectly with our brand's vision." As they delved into their discussions, Elena felt a sense of empowerment swell within her. The initial resentment she had toward her situation had morphed into gratitude. Andre had proven himself to be not just a hard worker, but also a partner who valued her opinions. Their relationship had grown from awkward silence to comfortable camaraderie, and Elena found herself looking forward to their time together. Later that afternoon, as they were reviewing the final touches on their presentation, the door swung open, and in walked Dacian, Elena's former boyfriend, with his signature charm and a swagger that had once captivated her. His arrival was unexpected, and the air in the room shifted instantly. "Elena, there you are," Dacian exclaimed, his voice dripping with familiarity. "I've missed you. How about we grab dinner? Just like old times, huh?" He flashed his trademark smile, the one that had once made her heart race. Elena felt a jolt of confusion. She glanced at Andre, who had gone rigid beside her, his expression darkening. "Dacian, come on, it'll be fun," Dacian interrupted, his demeanor playful but with an underlying edge of urgency. "I can show you the new club that just opened. It's all the rage, and I know you'll love it." Andre cleared his throat, stepping forward. "Elena isn't interested, Dacian. We have plans for the business." His voice was steady but firm, a protective tone that surprised Elena. Dacian raised an eyebrow, taking in Andre's stance. "Plans? Oh, I see. You're still playing handyman, Andre? That's cute." He chuckled, dismissing Andre's role and turning his attention back to Elena. "Don't let him hold you back. You deserve excitement, adventure. I can give you that." Elena felt a swell of contradiction within her. Dacian had always been fun, but that fun had come at a cost. Memories of late-night parties and reckless decisions flashed before her eyes, reminding her of why she had distanced herself from him in the first place. "I'm not the same person I was, Dacian," she said, her voice steady. "I have responsibilities now." Dacian's smile faltered slightly, but he quickly recovered. "Responsibilities? Or are you just settling? You could have it all back if you just give me a chance. Think of the adventures we could have. We could travel, explore, live life to the fullest." Andre stepped closer to Elena, his presence a reassuring buffer against Dacian's words. "Elena is building something real here, Dacian, something meaningful. You wouldn't understand that, would you?" His tone was calm, but laced with an intensity that made the air crackle. Dacian scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Please, don't act like you're some kind of savior. She's just trapped in this little world you've created. I can offer her freedom." Elena felt her heart racing, torn between the thrill of Dacian's offer and the stability she had been building with Andre. The truth was, there was a part of her that missed the excitement, but another part that felt grounded in her new life. She turned to Andre, whose expression was resolute, eyes locked on Dacian with unwavering focus. "I'm not trapped, Dacian," she said firmly. "I'm happy. I'm doing something I care about, and I'm with someone who respects me." Dacian's smile faded, replaced by a look of disbelief. "You're really going to choose this? This arrangement? You're better than this, Elena." Elena stood her ground, feeling a surge of confidence. This isn't just an arrangement. It's a partnership. I've learned to appreciate hard work and dedication, qualities you never valued. You may see it as settling, but I see it as growing. Dacian's expression twisted with frustration. You'll regret this. Just wait. I'll be waiting when you come to your senses. With that, he turned on his heel and strode out, leaving the tension hanging in the air. Once he was gone, Andre let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Are you all right? He asked, concern etched on his face. Elena nodded, though her heart raced from the confrontation. I think so. It's just, he knows how to push my buttons. Andre stepped closer, his voice gentle. You handled him well. I'm proud of you. Elena's cheeks flushed at his praise. Thank you, Andre. It's just, I don't want to go back to that life. I found something worthwhile with you. Andre's eyes softened, and in that moment, Elena felt a warmth spreading within her, a connection that transcended their initial arrangement. We're building something special together, Elena, and I think you're starting to realize your potential too. As the evening wore on, they returned to their plans, the conversation flowing easier than it had before. They discussed ideas for their upcoming project, excitement bubbling between them as they creatively bounced ideas off each other. Elena felt a sense of satisfaction as they worked late into the night, the city lights twinkling outside like stars. She realized that she had not only found a partner in Andre, but also a friend who genuinely cared for her aspirations. Yet, she couldn't shake off the remnants of Dacian's visit. What if he was right? What if she did regret her choices? But as she glanced at Andre, who was focused and dedicated, she felt a wave of certainty wash over her. She had made her choice, and she would fight for it. With newfound determination, Elena leaned back in her chair, a smile creeping onto her face. Let's make this the best project we've ever done, Andre. I can't wait to show everyone what we're capable of. Andre looked up, surprised but pleased. I like the sound of that. Together, they dove back into their work, a team united in their ambitions, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Little did they know, the road was about to get even more complicated as shadows from the past threatened their newfound happiness. Elena stood in the large, airy office that had become a makeshift meeting room for her burgeoning construction business. The walls were adorned with blueprints and vibrant photographs of their completed projects, a testament to the hard work and dedication she and Andre had poured into their enterprise. Yet, beneath the surface of her professional success, a storm was brewing. As she gazed out of the window, her mind drifted back to the recent confrontation with Dacian. The memory of his smug smile and charming words weighed heavily on her heart. Their last encounter replayed in her mind, a vivid reminder of the life she had chosen to leave behind. Come on, Elena. You know you missed the excitement, Dacian had said, leaning against the doorway with that familiar, infuriatingly disarming grin. Andre is just a handyman. You're meant for bigger things. Bigger things? Elena had retorted, her voice laced with defiance. What? A life full of parties and superficiality? No, Dacian. I found something real. Something I want to nurture. Dacian's expression shifted from playful to serious, and he took a step closer. Real? Or just convenient? You can't honestly believe that marrying Andre is the best thing for you. He's not your type, Elena. You don't know anything about me anymore. She had shot back, anger and hurt swirling within her. Andre cares about me. He's stable, hardworking, and he believes in me. Stable? Dacian scoffed, his tone dripping with derision. He's just a pawn in your father's game. You're making a huge mistake. Elena had felt the tension crackling between them, a mix of unresolved feelings and the unmistakable pull of the past. But she stood firm, a warrior in her own right, fueled by the passion and purpose she had found in her new life. Now, in the aftermath of that confrontation, she felt the weight of her choices bearing down on her. She had chosen Andre, and in doing so, she had not only turned her back on Dacian but also embraced a new kind of love, one built on respect, partnership, and mutual ambition. Just then, the office door swung open, and Andre stepped in, his presence instantly filling the space with warmth and a sense of calm. He was carrying a file of contracts, his brow slightly furrowed in concentration. "Hey, you," he said with a soft smile, his eyes brightening at the sight of her. "I brought the latest proposals for the new projects we discussed. I think they're going to be a hit." Elena smiled back, feeling her heart lift. "I'm sure they will be. You've worked so hard on this, Andre." He walked over to her desk, placing the file down gently. "You seem a bit distant today. Everything okay?" Elena hesitated for a moment, the shadows of her earlier encounter with Dacian still lingering. "Just thinking about Dacian," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Andre's expression hardened slightly, a protective glint in his eyes. "That guy doesn't deserve a second thought. You made your choice, and I'm here because of that choice." "I know," she replied, meeting his gaze. "But sometimes it's hard to shake off the past. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing." Andre stepped closer, closing the distance between them. "You are doing the right thing. You're building something amazing with me, something real. Dacian is just noise, a distraction from the life we're creating together." Elena felt a warmth spread through her, his words bolstering her resolve. "You're right. I need to focus on us." Andre reached out, brushing a stray hair behind her ear. "Let's celebrate our achievements later. It's been a tough few weeks, but we're making progress. You deserve to feel proud of what we've built." Their eyes locked, and in that moment, Elena saw the sincerity in Andre's gaze, the depth of his commitment and the strength of his affection. She felt a rush of gratitude for him, for the way he had stood by her side through the tumultuous transition from rebellion to partnership. "Thank you, Andre," she said softly, "for believing in me, for believing in us." He smiled, a genuine, heartwarming smile that made her heart flutter. "Always." As they worked together, the atmosphere in the office shifted. Laughter and playful banter filled the air as they reviewed designs and discussed upcoming projects. Each moment solidified their bond, transforming their partnership into something deeper. Later that evening, they decided to take a break from work and go out for dinner at a cozy little restaurant they had discovered not long ago. The ambience was warm, with soft lighting and the rich aroma of gourmet dishes wafting through the air. As they settled into their booth, Elena couldn't shake the feeling of contentment that enveloped her. "This place is perfect," she said, glancing around at the intimate setting. "I'm glad we decided to come here." Andre leaned back, a satisfied grin on his face. "I thought you might like it. It's low-key, just like us." Elena chuckled, her heart swelling with affection. "I think we're becoming quite the pair." "Huh?" "Absolutely," he replied, his eyes sparkling with mischief. The dynamic duo of construction. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, touching on everything from their latest projects to their dreams for the future. But amidst the laughter and shared plans, an undercurrent of tension remained, a subtle reminder of the challenges they had faced and those yet to come. As they finished their meal, Andre reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. "I'm really proud of what we've accomplished together, Elena. It's not just about the business. It's about us growing together." Elena smiled, her heart racing at the sincerity in his words. "I feel the same way. It's been a journey, and I wouldn't want to share it with anyone else." Just as they were about to leave, Elena's phone buzzed on the table. She picked it up, her heart dropping as she read the text message from their supplier. An unexpected complication had arisen with the shipment, and it threatened to delay their upcoming project. "Oh," she muttered, her brow furrowed in concern. "We might have a problem." "What is it?" Andre asked, his voice steady as he leaned closer. Elena quickly explained the situation, her stomach twisting in knots. "If we can't resolve this quickly, it could set us back significantly." Andre's expression shifted from relaxed to focused. "Let's not panic. We've handled tough situations before. We can figure this out." As they left the restaurant, the weight of the looming challenge hung over them. But Elena felt a spark of determination igniting within her. She knew that whatever came their way, they would face it together. However, as the days passed, the situation with the supplier escalated, and just as they began to strategize solutions, tragedy struck. The company faced a catastrophic setback that could unravel everything they had worked for. Elena felt the ground beneath her feet shift as darkness crept into their lives, threatening to extinguish the light they had built together. She looked at Andre, her heart racing with fear. What if we lose everything? After everything we've built? Andre took her hands in his, grounding her. We won't. We'll fight for this. We've come too far to give up now. But deep down, Elena couldn't shake the chilling uncertainty that gripped her heart. The stakes had never been higher, and as she faced the storm ahead, she realized that the greatest challenge wasn't just the business. It was about preserving the love and connection they had forged amidst the chaos. In the dim light of the office, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Unwanted Vasile sat behind his polished mahogany desk, the weight of recent events pressing heavily upon him. The chaos that had erupted within his company was no accident. He had pieced together the evidence, and now he was ready to confront the architect of their misfortune. The doors swung open, and Dacian stepped in, his casual demeanor at odds with the gravity of the situation. Unwanted, what's this about? You seem unusually grim, Dacian smirked, leaning against the doorframe, his nonchalance a mask for the anxiety bubbling beneath his surface. Unwanted's piercing gaze met Dacian's with an intensity that could cut through steel. We need to talk, he said, his voice low but firm. About what happened at the site. Dacian feigned ignorance, raising an eyebrow. What about it? Construction accidents happen all the time. It's a dangerous industry, after all. Don't play coy with me, Unwanted snapped, rising from his seat. I have evidence that points directly to you. Your little scheme to sabotage our project was not only reckless but criminal. Dacian's facade faltered for the briefest moment, a flicker of panic crossing his face. What evidence? You're making wild accusations, Unwanted. This is not a game. It's not a game when lives are at stake, Unwanted replied, his voice steady. I have recordings, witnesses, and financial trail leading right to you. You thought you could just waltz back into Elena's life after everything and reclaim her affections? You miscalculated. Dacian straightened, a newfound seriousness overtaking him. You don't understand. I did it for her. For us. She deserves excitement, not this mundane life you forced upon her. Excitement? Unwanted laughed bitterly. You mean the thrill of indulgence and irresponsibility? You're nothing but a parasite, Dacian. You've always been that way, living off the wealth and resources of others without contributing anything of value. Dacian stepped forward, his bravado wavering. You think you can keep her from me? I know how to make her happy in ways you never could. She needs someone who understands her. Someone who understands her? Unwanted echoed, his voice rising. Someone who would jeopardize her future for a fleeting thrill? You don't love her. You love the idea of having power over her. But I will not allow you to ruin her life any longer. What are you going to do, old man? Threaten me? Dacian laughed, though the sound lacked conviction. You can't keep me away from her forever. I can charm her back if I want. Unwanted stepped closer, his presence imposing. You will not get the chance. I will expose you for who you are, and I have already spoken to my lawyers. There will be consequences for your actions. A tense silence hung in the air, punctuated only by the sound of Dacian's shallow breaths. He shifted uncomfortably, realizing the gravity of his situation. You think you can scare me into submission? You don't know me. Maybe not, Unwanted admitted, his voice low. But I do know what you're capable of, and I won't let you harm my family any longer. With that, Unwanted reached for his phone, ready to dial the authorities, when Dacian suddenly stepped back, a desperate glint in his eye. Wait, let's not escalate this. I just wanted to see Elena. I miss her. Miss her? Unwanted scoffed. You miss the power you held over her, the way she was drawn into your world of superficiality. You never cared about her happiness. Dacian's expression turned pleading. I can change. I can be better. Just give me a chance to prove it. Prove it. Unwanted shook his head in disbelief. You've had your chances, and you squandered them all. You're nothing but a fading shadow of what you could have been, Dacian. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions. As Unwanted dialed the number, Dacian's demeanor shifted from desperation to anger. You'll regret this, Unwanted. You think you can keep Elena locked away in a gilded cage? She'll never forgive you for this betrayal. Yonat's finger hovered over the call button, and for a fleeting moment, doubt gnawed at him. Could he truly protect his daughter from the likes of Dacian? But then he remembered Elena's spirit, her resilience, and the love she had found in Andre. He pressed the button. "Hello, officer," he said, his voice unwavering. "I need to report a case of sabotage and harassment." Later that evening, the air was thick with uncertainty as Elena and Andre sat across from each other at their kitchen table, the glow of the overhead light casting warm shadows on their faces. They had just returned from a long day at the construction site, their hands stained with paint and dirt, but their spirits high. Yet, the tension from earlier lingered. "Do you think everything will be okay?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. She looked at Andre, her eyes searching for reassurance. Andre leaned back in his chair, his expression contemplative. "I believe in us, Elena. We've built something strong together, and we can withstand this storm." Elena sighed, her gaze drifting to the window, where the moon hung low in the sky. "I just can't shake this feeling of dread. Dacian, he's not going to just disappear, is he?" "No, he won't. But we can't let him dictate our lives anymore," Andre replied, his tone firm. "What he did was despicable, but it also shows how desperate he is to regain control. We have to stay focused on what we've created together." She nodded slowly, absorbing his words. "You're right. I can't let him pull me back into that world of chaos. I've changed, and I want to keep moving forward." Andre reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "And I'll be right here with you, every step of the way. We're a team now." A small smile crept onto Elena's lips, and for a moment, the weight on her shoulders felt lighter. "Thank you for believing in me, Andre. I wouldn't have made it this far without you." Just then, the front door swung open, and Yonat stepped in, his expression grave but determined. "Elena, Andre," he called out, his voice echoing through the hallway. "We need to talk." Elena's heart raced. She exchanged a worried glance with Andre before rising to meet her father. "What's happened, Dad?" Yonat took a deep breath, the tension in his shoulders evident. "I confronted Dacian today. He's been exposed for what he did, and the authorities are handling it. He won't be able to hurt you again." Relief washed over Elena, but a new wave of anxiety replaced it. "But what about the company? What about us?" "I believe the worst is behind us," Yonat assured, his eyes softening. "Andre, you've proven you're worth time and again. You've not only protected my daughter, but have proven to be an invaluable asset to our family and our business." Andre looked surprised, his hand still holding Elena's. "Thank you, Yonat. I'm just doing what I can." "You're doing more than you realize," Yonat said, his voice filled with sincerity. "I've watched you both grow through this ordeal, and I see the love and partnership you've built. It's inspiring." Elena felt a swell of emotion at her father's words. "So, we can move forward? We can keep building our business together?" "Yes," Yonat nodded, a rare smile breaking through his usually stern demeanor. "We'll rebuild what was lost. Together, as a family." As the weight of uncertainty lifted, Andre squeezed Elena's hand tighter, a promise shared between them. The future was still uncertain, but they would face it together, united by love and resilience. In that moment, Elena knew they had weathered the storm, emerging not just as a couple but as a family, ready to embrace the journey ahead. The laughter and love that filled their home that night echoed through the walls, a sweet reminder that no matter the challenges they faced, they would always find their way back to each other.